What's going on, Disc Golf Strong Performance Academy athletes? I am so excited to be here with you for this Performance Academy Live. We got week one, the Prime Disc Golf athlete. We're kicking it off strong. I see there's so many great people here already. Say hello if you can in the comments. I want to see who all is checking in. This is going to be a great night. We have a very special guest. I'm sure many of you have heard. If you haven't, we're going to have Ricky Wysocki joining us tonight to talk about how to optimize ourselves as athletes, how to tap into that action so that we can get motivated, but how to tap into really that action to get the results we want. So it's going to be a lot of fun to have Ricky on here shortly. But before that, we are going to do a little recap of this week's training module and the coaching videos, just to dive a little deeper into what we're focusing on this week. So last week we had the movement assessment, and it's been awesome to see so many of you posting your videos inside the Facebook group. That's, to put yourself out there, to share those. That's awesome. But I know that so many of you have been doing the movement assessment. Keep going. If you haven't got into it yet, that's okay. Just, 1-2 videos at a time. You don't have to do the whole thing. If you can't block out that entire block to do all of them, that's okay. Just 1, 2, 3 movements at a time. You're still moving forward. So we got the movement assessment. That's really a baseline. Okay. It's a baseline. It's knowledge for you to say, hey, how am I moving right now? You'll notice I don't do a lot of coaching in those videos, right? And there's a reason, because I'm not trying to coach you through it. I don't want you to do it how I coach you through it. I want you to do the movement how your body is naturally doing it right now. Okay. What strategies is your body using to do the shin box? What movement strategies is your body doing those hip airplanes, right? Those ones will get us, they really challenge our stability, our single leg stability, our hip stability. So get in, do that movement assessment. And if you can record those videos, record those videos. We also are talking about WOOP goals, right? WOOP goals are a powerful framework to help us start setting ourselves up for success when it comes to reaching a goal. All right. So there's lots of different theories out there, different frameworks for goal setting. There's the SMART goals. Many of us are very familiar with the SMART goals. There's, set these big, hairy, audacious goals, these BHAG goals, right? It's like, oh, how do I set this big goal? I want to do this big thing in my life. Well, what we find is that setting these big, hairy, audacious goals, while they help give us some direction, that's not where we should put our focus. And so I've worked with a lot of people that go, man, I set this huge goal, 1-year goal, 5-year goal, and I'm disappointed because I'm not anywhere close to it when I thought I would be. I'm not closer than I thought I would be right now, 6 months into it, 3 months and a year into it. Well, the thing is that these large goals, right? Like I said, they give us direction, but that's not where our focus needs to be. Our focus needs to be on the process, right? If I know that I'm trying to drive, 1 hour away, and I put the location in my maps, so I know where I'm headed. Okay, I know where point B is, but I can't be thinking about point B. I have to be thinking about, where am I right now on the road? What turns do I need to make right now? Right? What are the stoplights doing? Where are the people at? So I need to focus on that. And if I focus on that, it's going to get me towards the goal. Right? So when it comes to our goal setting, we set these goals. We can say, hey, I want to do this in a year. I want to do this in 5 years. That gives me that direction, and go, what am I doing today? What is something I can do today? On Sunday, this past Sunday, the kickoff show, we talked about take a 5-minute action step. What is something I can do right now for 5 minutes to move me towards my goal, right? And if we do those, we focus on those habits, we focus on those building blocks of success, then that's going to move us forward. And like I said, on Sunday, action precedes motivation, right? Action precedes motivation. You're going to find success when you take action. When you see, when you feel, when you taste that little bit of success, it motivates you to take more action, right? And then you start moving forward. Then you start moving, you keep moving forward. So focus on the process. And now the WOOP goal framework, like I said, it's a way to help us put down on paper what is something that we want to work towards over this very short term. Okay, and you can have multiple WOOP goals. I really wouldn't recommend more than working on more than three at a time, but you can have multiple WOOP goals, and then it helps you identify what are some obstacles, right? What are some things that might get in the way? Also, what is this going to do for me? Like in 6 weeks, if I say, hey, I want to improve my single leg stability, okay, let's take that one. In 6 weeks, I want to feel more stable on a single leg, right? That's my wish. Well, what's the outcome? Well, when I take that time and I focus over the next 6 weeks on improving my single leg stability, the outcome will be that when I'm on the disc golf course, I think my hips are going to feel more stable. They're going to feel better. I feel like I'm going to be able to, put more rotational stress into them. I think I'm going to play better. I think I've made me more resilient, right? So that's that outcome. What are the obstacles? I got a busy schedule. I got family responsibilities. So what do I need to do to work with those obstacles so that they are not roadblocks, but they're speed bumps, right? The big thing is in life, in goals, and when we want to move forward in things, move ourselves forward, is we think of a lot of things as roadblocks. Even if we don't really want to identify, we do. We start going, man, I want to do this, but I got this and I got this, and I don't think I can get out of that, right? That may be true, but that doesn't mean that can stop me from doing what I need to take that 5 minute action step, right? So if I say, hey, these are the obstacles, but they're not roadblocks, they're just speed bumps, now I can keep moving forward. Now I can take that 5 minute action step, do that good, better, best, right? I can do that good portion of the program and go, you know what? I took a step forward. It was a roadblock. I took a step forward. I carved out 5 minutes after I got out of bed, or I took 5 minutes while I was at work on my lunch break, right? We've had people in past academies, they go, hey, you know what? I wasn't able to get the entire training session in. So every like 20, excuse me, like every hour, I would take 5 minutes at work and do one of the movements. And then the next time I took a break, I would do one more of the movements. And so they would break it up over the entire day. And that's awesome. Like there's nothing that says that you have to work 30 minutes at one sitting or 60 minutes at one sitting for it to be successful for you to be moving forward. Now that there's nothing wrong with that. If you got the time, if you're able to do it, crush it. But if you break it up throughout your day, crush that as well. Okay. And then we got the wish, the outcome. We've identified some of the obstacles and made them not roadblocks, but speed bumps. And finally, we got the plan. What am I going to do? Okay. How do I work this into my life? Because as again, I talked about on Sunday, our future self. We've got to be thinking about our future self. My present self wants to watch the latest Netflix series. My future self is going to want to look back and go, Seth, you crushed it, man. You took that time to do the work. Like I said, we got Ricky on tonight. He knows that his future self is going to be so pumped when he goes and he trains at the gym. He knows that his future self is going to look back and go, Ricky, you put in the work. All right. A lot of us, we go, man, I don't want to be around the practice basket. I'm sure Ricky, we can ask him tonight. I doubt that every single time, every single minute he spent around the practice basket over his career, over his life, that he's gone, man, this is awesome. I don't want to be anywhere else. I'm sure there's times where he's like, man, there's so many things I want to be doing right now, but I want to be the best in the world. My future self's gonna be so jacked with where I'm at in life, right? And so he stays there and he does it. They talk about Climbo. Climbo used to do the same thing. You'd be out playing cards with people, get up, go grab a putter, and go start putting, right? So so use that WOOP goal framework to help you identify some of those goals. And it doesn't even have to be fitness related. It can be, hey, I want to improve my sleep over the next 6 weeks because then I'll have more energy at the day during the day. I'll feel more refreshed. I'll be able to live my life with vigor and excitement because I won't wake up and be exhausted. So I'm going to work on improving some of my sleep hygiene, right? So it can be whatever you want it to be. All right. A couple other quick things before we bring Ricky on. So in this week, we have our training program, and the training program is the movement assessment. It's the prescription is now the assessment is now the prescription. Okay, so get in there, do some of those exercises in the movement for this week, the training routine for this week. Next week, we're going to jump a little more. We're going to start doing some other sessions, jump into a lot of mobility. Okay, getting into the mobile disc golf athlete is next week. But this week is the prime disc golf athlete. So you may be looking and you're like, man, I opened up Kajabi, I opened up the Performance Academy, I logged in, I looked, and it's like talking about setting yourself up for success. Like there's videos talking about starting quote unquote throwing putters first. There's information about breathing, right? About WOOP goals. Like this is the Performance Academy. I thought I was going to jump in. I was going to be slinging kettlebells and whatever, right? Why are we talking about this first? Because this is the foundational building blocks of success. If we don't have our environment set up for success, then it's hard to do the training sessions. It's hard to get the coaching videos in. It's hard to do the field work. It's hard to do all that. So we got to focus on setting ourselves up for success, right? If you can do one thing this week is look around and say, how do I best help set my environment up? I love ice cream. I think I say this in one of the videos. I love ice cream. If I have ice cream in the fridge, I'm eating it. So I set myself up for success by not having ice cream in the fridge, right? And so that is a way that my environment is set up for success. If I need to have my training stuff out ready to go, I'm setting myself up for success. Okay. So look around. How can you set yourself for success? Set yourself up for success this week. And then finally, before we bring Ricky on, the breathing. Okay. Do the breathing assessment, watch the breathing videos. They're huge. When I was working in hockey with the Ducks, we were focusing on breath work. And you go, million dollar athletes, and they're on their backs and they're breathing. Absolutely. Breathing is the first thing we do. Okay. When we come into this world, and how we optimize what our diaphragm is doing, where our breath is going. Okay. It affects us physically. It affects us mentally. It affects our physiology. Okay. It affects our focus, our attention, our concentration. I mean, it is powerful. It's powerful. I was fortunate enough last year to do a wilderness first responder training. I used to work on the ambulance, and I also did I worked in the Coast Guard, and so I did this wilderness first responder training, and I got paired up with his former Navy SEAL. And he just wasn't a Navy SEAL. He was the former commander of SEAL Team 6. I was very, very lucky, fortunate to be his partner. And we were talking about performance and life and everything. And I said, hey, do you, I know like the box breathing, we do the box breathing. I told him, I do the box breathing with my athletes and in my performance academies. We talk about it. Is that something you do? Because I know it's the SEAL thing. He goes, man, I focus on breathing so much every day. It's crazy. Right. So he focused as a Navy SEAL, as a SEAL team commander of SEAL Team 6. Like he wasn't beyond getting down and working on his breath. Right. And so if you can work on focusing on improving the way you breathe and how you optimize your breath, amazing. There's some really good books out there. We'll share links to those that I highly encourage, that talk about the power of not only breathing, optimize your breathing, but also breathing nasally too. Okay. Closing your mouth, breathing in and out through your nose. The wonders you can do is insane. All right. So enough talk about that. Well, we're going to talk more about that, but enough of just me talking about that. I'm going to bring on my friend, someone I've been working with for a number of years now. He's an amazing athlete. He's always pushing the envelope. He's always looking for that slight edge of performance, right? Let me tell you a quick story how I met Ricky. So I've had disc golf strong since 2016, and I think it was like 2017. I was at DDO, all right, GBO at that point, right? And I walk up, and Ricky is signing, and he's doing some stuff at a table. He's got like discs out and everything, and I just happen to walk up, and I'm standing there, and he like looks up. He's like, "Hey, you're the guy that does like those the exercise stuff, like the training videos and stuff." I was like, "Yeah, I am. I'm Seth." And he's like, "Dude," he goes, "I want to talk to you. Like, give me your let's exchange numbers and stuff." And he gave me his phone number, his email, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I really want to talk to you. I really want to, see what you got, and I want to work with you." This was back, honestly, when I was doing the pre-round warm-up, when I was showing the pre-round warm-up, and there was a lot of people going, "That's ridiculous. Like, why would we warm up before disc golf?" But Ricky was like, "I want to do something. I'm a professional athlete. I want to take that. I'm looking for that slight edge in my performance. I'm looking for that next thing I can do as an athlete, and I want to do it." And so he connected with me. We connected up. We started working together. I flew out to Arizona, spent some time with him, did some training. He trusts the process. He puts in the work. Again, I'm so excited, pumped to have him here. Let's bring him on, the new member of Dynamic Discs, setting records, changing the game, breaking ceilings. Ricky Wysocki.
Hey, what's up, dude? What's up, guys?
How
Thanks,
you
dude.
doing,
Thanks for
my
the
friend?
build up. I appreciate it, man. No, I'm glad to be
Yeah,
here.
dude.
Glad to join
Oh
you. I was
man.
listening for about like 10 or 15 minutes before you put me on here, but yeah, I definitely have some insight and some key points that you brought into my head just from all the stuff that you said. But we'll get into that
Awesome.
in a second. But I just first off wanted to say thanks for, yeah, I'm glad we worked together. Starting like you said 4 years ago.
Yep.
I knew back then that this was something that I needed to take seriously and go all in as much as I possibly can to optimize my body. And that's like you said, there's multiple different facets to optimizing your body and optimizing your health. And the training programs that you have us players on is definitely one step in the right direction.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, first off, I've said it, but I know people on the board, they're going to be saying it too, man. They're so excited about, where you're taking your game, and moving forward in this new contract and everything, and excited for you. And let's go back though to when we first met. Like, did you think of yourself as an athlete before we started doing anything together?
So I did in a certain sense, but it was just a different, I looked at myself a little bit differently than like after you honestly came around, you changed the way we look at ourselves, really. You basically like, we always know we were athletic and we were, professionals, but we, as a professional world-class athlete, you kind of helped us realize like, hey, you guys are world-class athletes. You should be treating yourselves like it too, because, your body, that's what your body needs. Your body, it's going to take all the disc golf motion that we do is pretty violent. So you got to counteract it by doing certain workouts, doing certain stretching routines, and, get your stability, mobility work in to be able to just be fully optimized on the course and all that. So yeah, you definitely came around and helped us, reflect on ourselves to say, hey, we need to do this.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say now you would say you're an athlete, you're a professional athlete through and through.
Yes, yeah. Obviously, 4 or 5 years ago is a different story, but yeah, now it's, I think that's 4 years ago is really when I first started taking it serious, changing everything about my game. And I think that, like you said, with my new contract, it's that's part of those are all part of the speed bumps. Going through changing my routine that I do in the gym, pre-round routine, post-round routine, breathing, health and diet, supplements. So those were all things that I did 4 years ago that is just now obviously in the public eye. They're seeing a contract, but this is all stuff I did 4 years ago, and it's just paying dividends to optimizing my body, like allowing me to have a season like I did last year, and allowing me to play at full strength for hopefully a good another 5-10 more years at least. So
At least.
so yeah, and the fact that I'm doing it, it's never too it's never too late, no matter how old or young you are. There's always a great time to make a change in the right direction. And you know, you doing what you did helped a lot. And sometimes, you know, for me, I relate it to diet a lot, because it's hard to realize what's happening internally when you have a bad diet, until something, you know, everything's fine until it's not. Until you get diabetes, you start getting, you know, high blood pressure. You get all these different things from bad diet, but you don't. It's not like your brain's telling you, hey, you're getting, you know, you need to stop. You know, it's just something pops. Same thing with an injury. You know, your body doesn't say, hey, you need to do more hip airplanes or, you know, monster walks to get your, you know, hips more stable. It's just that your hips, you know, blow out, and you know, you can't play disc golf or do anything that you want to do. So diet and, you know, all the working out is very comparable, and just life in general too. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that's comparable, but I look at that because I mean, you can't tell, you know, like you said, everything's fine until it's not.
Absolutely. And as you know, I on the kickoff show earlier this week, I talked about that identity, and you know, that's, as I told them, you know, that when we first started back in 2016, it was like, hey, you know, we need to identify as athletes, whether we're pro, whether we're am. Like you said, this sport takes a toll on our body. You know, there's so many injuries out there, both in professional and amateur disc golf. But having that identity and saying this I'm an athlete, this is what I do, and so all this other stuff makes sense, right? Doing it like you do, you crush it. You work in nutrition, you're working your recovery, you're doing all that stuff because you're like, this is what an athlete does, right?
Exactly. And I think that's another reason why, and I'm sure obviously you see it, more injuries, because people are trying to get to, you know, my level, and I'm thankful that I'm in a spot and, you know, growing my career and my athletic abilities to where I'm at today. But there's a lot of people in this program that are trying to get there, but in order to get there, you have to start by treating yourself right. And because you're you know, you're throwing just as much as me, hopefully in the field, and putting as much as me to be able to get your, you know, skills honed in. So yeah, you have to treat yourself like what you want to be in the future, which is, you know, a top professional athlete, and, you know, you have to take the steps to get there. But yeah, and for me, another point that I heard right before I jumped, or right when I jumped on, was like when people started with, you know, you tell people to start with putters, and I can totally relate to that, because obviously with my new bag, I've been doing a lot of media, and I had a little setback. I had like a little surgery, so I had like a couple weeks off. So I took like 3 weeks off and didn't touch a disc. And so for me, then I got my new bag, got all this stuff that happened, and it was kind of like, you know, a speed bump. And now I got my new disc. I'm able to practice, and I just started with putters. You know, just like when you find a new workout or new session, a new movement that Seth puts in the app, you have to start slow, work your way up. Same thing. You know, I wanted to start with putters, and, you know, do a day or two with putters, and then work my way up to mid ranges, and then drivers. And so then that allows me to kind of just build off of each one. You know, the putters will help you build good form to your mid ranges, and then you're throwing as hard as you can, and you're, you know, getting that good form dialed in, and you're progressing so your joints aren't taking all that torque from the get go after not playing for 3 or 4 weeks, you know, and so yeah, that's, you know, and I heard you talking about putting, and another thing for me is when I'm starting something new, or I'm, you know, just, you know, getting a bunch of practice in, is yeah, after 3 or 4 weeks, my timing's off. I'm not perfect. It's something to where I have to work to get it back. And I know, luckily I've been through it before, and I know how to, you know, take the stepping stones. You know, one day, you know, it's going to be a little bit better than the next and the next. And the same thing with mobility, stability. You notice every day is a little better the more time, more sessions you put in at the gym. And it's the same thing. And so for me, that's important. And that's my motivation, is being, you know, me going out there and seeing improvement, you know, just like anything, you see improvement firsthand. You know, going putting, you know, from 30 feet, you may make a lot more, you know, the fourth or fifth day than you do the first day. And it's just progressive to get to that point. And so for me, that's my motivation, is just seeing how much better I get, and knowing that my practice is doing something. And it's a little easier when you're, you know, result oriented, like, you know, when you're putting, but it's, you know, and it's, you know, you can be result oriented sometimes, but like sometimes some things it's tough, because, you know, you may not directly feel it, or some people are more in tune with their body and, you know, may not notice that their hips are more mobile, but they just maybe not notice it as much as if you're putting 30 footers. So the mindset to where you have to feel it or have to see it to actually know that there's something beneficial going on, that's a kind of a barrier in a lot of people's brains that they have to break, is do things because, you know, deep down it's the right thing to do, even if you can't see it. And then the more you do it, the more you'll, stick with it, the more you'll eventually feel it. And that's, like I said, I go back to diet a lot. That's the most important thing, is because people don't realize, hey, you eating donuts and processed, junk food all day long. Yeah, you may not realize that that's, detrimental to your health, but the more and more you break away from that, you'll actually might start being more in tune with your body, because you're feeding it what it's supposed to have. But yeah, diet is a very high percentage of, it's really mental, because you have to, like you said, challenge yourself to not grab a gallon of ice cream every time you go to the grocery store and set yourself up for success. And so if you can walk by it and just grab health food and, stuff your house full of, highly nutritious foods, and cut out the processed garbage and, that kind of stuff, it's, that's a huge step.
Yeah, absolutely. No, dude, that was all gold right there. And like when you talk about, let's go back to you saying throwing putters, right? Our ability to become successful at a high level in anything, it ties in strongly to our ability to do the boring stuff, and our ability to do the boring stuff even when we don't know if it's doing anything, like you said,
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like you gotta in order to do the cool stuff, in order to do the big stuff, we have to build those foundations, and we have to commit ourselves to being good at the boring stuff and doing it. And just like you trust the process, you've been trusting the process the whole time, right? When you and I first started, so Ricky and I started training together, and I go out to Arizona and we're doing dead bugs, and we're doing bird dogs. And, one would think, if you look at like a men's fitness magazine, you're like, what is this stuff? Like, why are we doing this stuff? Where's the crazy stuff? Where's the huge Olympic lifting? Where's all that stuff? Right. And Ricky could have been like, man, this is not the stuff for me. But he trusted the process and knew that, hey, I'm committed to his success. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, Ricky Wysocki, I'm going to have you just do stuff that is totally not right for you as an athlete. That would probably have me doing Olympic lifting with Ricky because I'd be trying to entertain him and not do the things that are going to make sure that his joints are strong, to make sure that his body is mobile, that is prepared, is ready to go. But he trusted the process, and that's what we encourage all of you to do, is trust the process. You want to go out there and you want to get better at putting, putt, right? And not just go for the big jumpers, not just go for the 60-footers, but do the stuff that is the foundational work, right? Put in those reps and do it well.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, and for me, I know that the boring stuff is going to equal me getting good at something. If the more and more, obviously, and it becomes less and less boring the more you do it, because you're getting better and you see improvement. That's the most motivating thing for me, is sitting in the field with a basket and nobody around. That's not that fun. We all know that. Everyone wants to be at the course, hanging out with their friends, having a good time, but sitting there with just a basket, you in a basket. You work on your form, you work on everything you want to do to make yourself the best disc golfer you can be and throw the best shots you can at the time. And so for me, the boring stuff, I get good at it. The more you obviously go to the field, and the more, you push yourself to go to the field every day, you get better, and then it's more fun and it's not as boring the more and more you do it. Just like a workout, the more, everybody likes to be good at something. It's more fun to be good at something and do it than just to go out there. It's boring. You're not good at it. And it's hard. That's the hardest part. But once you can actually see the light at the end of the tunnel and just go 3 or 4 days in a row, and that fourth day you start seeing that improvement, then, and like I said, it's different for everybody. Some people might go 3 days and notice an improvement. Some people might go 2 weeks and then they finally see an improvement. And that's when it stops turning boring and starts turning fun, because you're starting to get good and everything's much better and much more fun when you're good at it. And that's something that kind of motivates me.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I remember I was at a Angels Yankees game one time, and I'm sitting there, and it's like it was a playoff game back when the Angels actually were decent. Right. So, but But as a play, people are like, Angels playoff game? Like, has that ever happened? Yes, it's happened. Okay. It's just been a long time. But I was sitting there watching, and I'm watching like Alex Rodriguez, and I'm watching all these players, and they're, like fielding ground balls and throwing it to first. It's like they've been doing that since they were little kids. And it's like, wait, they're big leaguers, they're future Hall of Famers, and they're out there before the game fielding ground balls, throwing it to first, playing catch. They're like stuff that is very like foundational and basic if you're a Major League Baseball player. But they understood, hey, I got to keep doing these fundamentals. I got to keep building these foundations. I can't get away from this stuff because you see me do the cool stuff, when everything's on the line, but that's because I did all that other stuff. It's because I did all that other stuff. And so everyone that's watching, here, maybe you go, you know what? I'm an AM player and I just want to go out and have fun with my friends. And so that's all this stuff works as well, right? Because maybe you don't want to be a pro, but you want to have fun and you want to enjoy yourself and you want to play well, right? Maybe you don't want to throw farther, but maybe you want to throw longer, as in many, many more years, right? And you want to have that resiliency. So working on these exercises, working on these things where it's like, hey, I'm going to do this work. I'm going to do this foundational work. I'm going to build progressively. I'm going to take action. Like I said on Sunday in our kickoff show, the action precedes motivation. We get motivated because we take action. We see success. And we go, oh, now I'm motivated. Now I'm motivated to do more. Right.
Yep.
So
totally.
like Tony says here, beating friends is fun too. Absolutely. Right. So maybe you're not like, hey, I don't want to get a contract with DD, like Ricky, but I just want to beat my friends. This stuff is important for that too. It helps that too. So how do you tap in? Did you know, like growing up when you were young? I know you pitched in the. I know you told me this. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever really seen it out there, but you pitched in the Little League World Series, correct?
I wasn't pitching, but I played.
But okay, you were
playing.
I played,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I used to pitch.
You played baseball.
To pitch. Yes, I played baseball. Our team was in the Little League World Series, so I was
That's right.
into baseball. Yeah,
as you told me. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of how it started for me, and like I hear you talk about it sometimes. Is you have the structure with other sports that you kind of lack in disc golf, but with you in Disc Golf Strong, trying to bring that into disc golf, which is great because I think that the more you see people doing monster walks and and hip circles and stuff like that at the course, then it becomes normal. You don't feel. Not that it really matters, but it's normal. And, it's, halos, half kneeling halos, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. That's all stuff that's just going to be normal seeing on the course before around people playing because, and the people that don't, it's just, they're not educated enough to understand what it does. But, if they, a lot of people ask like, oh, that's cool. Or, and it goes back to people, they want to have the sexy workouts. They don't want to have the workouts that challenge their stability and mobility, which is 9 times out of 10 what you need for disc golf. And so just the structure, and the more that people are exposed to it is friggin' amazing. And I think that you being around the tour and more top players taking it serious is just going to help trickle that down to everybody, and we can be an influence in that way, and it helps everybody. Obviously it helps us, and that's why we do it, to prolong our careers and play healthy, play stronger, play all that stuff. But then it trickles down to everybody else, and they can play whatever their goals are. It can help them just go out and have fun as an outlet from their job, all the way to people that want to pursue getting better every day and try to be on tour one day. So and it's we have the mutual we all have the mutual same thing in common as far as wanting to get better and get stronger. Whether however you do that, whether it's with your friends or on the tournament level, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I know Disc Golf Strong is you've done a lot to change the game, and I'm thankful, and I know a lot of other people are. And my best advice is don't obviously Seth knows what he's talking about. He's done the research and everything. He's scientific. He knows what specifically designs the workouts for the disc golf movement. And you have to realize that, if you're a dedicated disc golfer, however you may be dedicated, you have to, stick to the game plan and understand that that's what it's for. You're not competing in the Olympics for a deadlift. You're doing a hip circle to open up your hips and create stability, mobility in your hips for when you go play around. And the more you do that, it's just going to continuously help you, even if you can't directly see it.
Yep, absolutely. And and I love that you also had brought up, about like the culture and, just going out there and doing it. I still hear, from people where they say, "Oh man, I want to warm up." Oh, my light just fell off. They say, "I want to warm up." It gets dark in here if I don't have one of those lights.
Okay.
They say, "I want to warm up, but I don't want to look weird on the course." Like everyone looks past me, and says, what is he doing? They feel weird about it. But it's like I tell them like, hey, bravo to you for going out there and changing the culture and setting a good example, because they're not doing it yet, but they'll eventually do it. You are one of those athletes that you're over there, you're at the athletic performance zone, you're warming up, right? And you're making it happen. Even when people are walking by going, yeah, that's not me. Hey, as I tell people, there's a lot of people want to do what Ricky does, but not a lot of people want to do what Ricky does. Right. And so,
Exactly.
it's like, you gotta know that this is something that every other like big sport does. Us as athletes, we're changing that culture in our sport, in baseball and football and hockey. Like if you're not warming up before, then everyone else is looking at you like, oh, you don't want to show up today.
Yeah. Right.
Like you don't want to be part of you don't want to be the best out there on the ice, right? You don't want to be the best out there on the field, the pitch, right? And so it's a natural thing. But in our sport, it's like, wow, what are we doing? Like, why are we doing this? And so we're changing that culture, and the culture has definitely changed. But we still got work to do. And I've told you before, like I am so pumped for you of also just helping, be that example in our sport and change that. And now I want to though get into next is routines, because that's something that we've gotten questions about, something we talk about here in the Performance Academy. And I'm going to say something on routines real quick, and then I'll pass it over to you. Is that, like I've had people say to me like, oh man, I want to come warm up with you before the round. I just never have time. And the thing is, so you're laughing, you're like,
Yeah.
they probably have time, right? But the reason you have time, the reason that others that come to the performance zone have time is because not only do they make it a priority, but they set their routines up so that they can be there. You're showing up an hour, 15, hour and a half at the course, at least, probably even 2 hours, right? Do you have a set time that you like to be at the course? Let's talk about routines and everything.
Yeah. So basically, when I see my tee time, I basically automatically think, hey, my plan is to, like you said, get there an hour and a half early. I like to have an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to warm up. So I just plan my day to where, I'm going to get there an hour and a half early, go straight to Seth, or if I'm in a field, because sometimes I don't always get access to Seth at the tournament, I'll just go to the field and I'll do a similar routine that we would do at the performance zone on tour. I'll just do all the different things, the hip circles, the monster walks, all the different things that we're doing. Do that, and then warm up and throw some shots, throw some putters, mid ranges, drivers, all that stuff. And so then I'll have, that'll take me to like 45 minutes before I can go there and get some putts in, and then maybe spend 10 or 15 minutes breathing, just getting ready, maybe visualizing some shots, and really just getting, trying to calm myself down before the tournament, because obviously, everyone, if you have a passion for something, you're going to be nervous and you're going to be, excited about it. And so you want to just make sure you're in a good state. And so, yeah, it's just all about allotting the right amount of time. If you're a professional disc golfer and you're on tour, your number one priority is playing disc golf. So if you don't have time, then yeah, you're just not respecting yourself enough to really be a top professional. which the sport's turning now to where there's a lot more people that can dedicate themselves to the sport to where, that's just becoming normal. And if it's not, there's someone that will. And that's going to, and it's going to show, like you said, there may be people that get, are so-and-so grandfathered in and are so used to not warming up, show up, 10 minutes before their tee time. And yeah, there are players that do that. And I'm not knocking them, but that's just kind of like, it's a type of thing to where it works until it doesn't. And then you start getting lapped and other people are doing all this stuff. You show up and chug a Red Bull and think you're ready to go. It's like, there's people that, have done breath work, that have done, 30 minutes of putting. They know exactly how their shots are coming out of their hand. So, because, every day's a little different, even with the top player. You got to, see your shots and have something to take into the tournament to say, hey, this is how my shots are coming out today. This is what I can game plan for. And this is how I can attack the course with this core amount of shots and how the disc is coming out of my hand. So, there's so many variables to it, but, like you said, a lot of it is, just treating yourself like a professional. And what would a true professional do in that situation? And even if you're not a professional athlete like myself, you still want to play the best you can, and you have to play within your means, and you still have to be able, to do that, to play the best, for that day that you have. That day that you're there.
Yep, absolutely. And so another direction now, take it. Those were all solid points, Ricky. Is with setting ourselves up for success and wanting to set those goals. A lot of people, they are like, hey, I want to get better, but when it comes to like field work, when it comes to making those improvements, like, how much time should I be doing field work? Like, how much time should I be playing? And so I don't want you to really talk about Ricky 2022. I want you to think about, go back to when you were Ricky, I'm about to go out on the road and I want to get better. How often were you playing every day? Were you playing multiple rounds? What were some of the stuff you were doing back then?
Yeah, no, it's funny you bring that up because, when I'm a rookie on tour, just trying to make a name for myself in the sport and really just kind of a nobody, I was playing a ton, 3 rounds a day. I would play sun up to sundown, literally. Like that's not a joke. I'll go to the course, 9, 10 o'clock, play 2 or 3 rounds, get lunch, come back, and I'd literally play 2 or 3 rounds a day, come back and putt until I couldn't see anymore. And then, go home. And luckily I was homeschooled, so I was able to do my homework at night and kind of come and then rinse, wash, repeat. So, fast forward to where I'm at today, I still practice a ton. I still, but I just allot my time differently. I'm not playing all day, every day. I'm just so it's more of a maintenance. So I'm still consistent. I'm still consistently keeping up with my game, but it's more of, I'm not playing all day long. I'm just, I may spend, an hour at the gym. I'm going to spend maybe a couple hours prepping and eating good, clean food, because that's important to me. 30, 40 minutes doing an ice bath to recover, after my workout and my disc golf round and my field work, whatever it is. So yeah, we got, I'm still working out in the morning, I'm playing a practice round, and I'm coming back, cooking some good food, going to, doing an ice bath for recovery. And so there's, for me, luckily I'm a top professional athlete and I'm able to give 100%, but to just optimizing my game. But I know a lot of people can't. And so the biggest thing I can say is consistency. You don't have to go and play in 3 rounds a day, but the more important is doing it every day, because the muscle memory is so important in a lot of things, not everything, but a lot of things, and disc golf especially. If you go one day, skip 2 or 3 days, you're just not really building anything. But if you go, even if it's 10 or 20 minutes, and go just when it's dark out and get your flash phone and put it on the basket. I used to do that all the time. Get some reps in for 20 minutes, throw some music on, and and then do it again the next day. And so instead of doing thinking that you have to do an hour or 2 hours every day, I would say tone it down to 20 or 30 solid minutes, and then making sure you get it in consistently. And I think it's a lot easier to do it that way for a lot of people that are, don't have the ability to dedicate 100% of their time like I do to disc golf. But that's what it takes to get to the point where I'm at now, to where maybe in the future you might have that luxury, but everyone's got to make sacrifices at some point. And that's what I would highly recommend. And same thing with, everything else that comes along with being a top player, food, preparing your food. That's, you got to allot your time. And so I just, I wake up and the first things I think about are what's important to me and how can I achieve what I want to do today, which is being a better disc golfer, playing as long as I can, playing healthy, playing strong. And for me, it's motivation is being the best player I can be for Vegas, which is the first tournament of the year. But obviously everyone's got different goals. Going play in their local league. That may be their goals. Hey, I want to kill this week and come back and win my league, and then kind of just build from there. Win the local league, then you win maybe a city tournament, and then you win the biggest tournament in your state, and then you can kind of go from there. And so everyone got different building blocks, but we're all have this very similar mindset as far as how to get there.
Yeah, dude, all that was golden. Two things that I really picked up on that I want to talk to is first consistency. You mentioned consistency. I said this in the talk on Sunday. Consistency is the magic pill you must swallow, right? We all want success, and we can if we're just consistent, even if it's a little bit at a time, right? I've been playing guitar since I was 13. I'm 40 years old now, so I've been playing guitar for 27 years. I am like a little better than I'm probably like a moderately good guitar player. All right, so I'm not awesome, but if you knew I was playing 27 years, you'd probably be like, dude, you've been playing in bands, you ripping it up, right? Like 27 years of guitar, that's a long time playing guitar, right? But when I started playing, I would play and then I would put the guitar down for a year, and then I would play for 2 months, and then I would not play it for 2 years, and then I would play it for 6 months, and then I would not play it for another 6 months. And so it's if I had played 5 to 10 minutes a day for 27 years, only 5 to 10 minutes of practice, consistent, good, intentional practice, I would not be a moderately good to guitar. I would be probably a really good guitar player, right? And so it's the consistent application of moving forward is what helps drive success. Sure, long guitar sessions would have been good, right? But not long guitar sessions if I then didn't pick it back up for weeks, right? So that's what I tell people here in the academy and others than you. We've talked about it. It's hey, just do a little bit, be consistent. If there's so many things you can do, pick one thing and just start working on that, right? That consistency is huge. I'm so glad you talked about that. Another thing you said, I loved it. You said, I want to be the best player for Vegas, right? I want to be the best player for Vegas. You want to be the best player in the world for a long time. You already are, right? But you want to be the best player for Vegas. If I wanted to be really good at guitar, me saying I want to play the entire Rolling Stones category, all their songs, that's overwhelming. But I was okay, I want to play one song. I want to play one song of Crosby, Stills and Nash or whoever it is, right? One Republic. If I focus on that first and then go to the next one and then go to the next one, right? Because I can't focus on all of them. I know that if I focus on this first one, it's going to pay dividends for the next one and the next one and the next one. It's gonna build me up to where my repertoire, my song list is bigger, but I have to focus one song at a time. And when you said I want to be the best player for Vegas, that hit right there hard.
Yeah, and then totally. I mean, I totally can relate to a lot of people, and I was in that a lot of people's spot to where they probably are right now. Is I started playing in the local course with a bunch of my local buddies, and I played the leagues, and I started winning the local leagues a lot, and that was my first goal. Is every week I'm playing all day, trying to get really good, and hone my skills in to win that league, and then I would do that, and then I would play a local tournament maybe an hour or 2 hours away, and I would play that, and obviously I didn't always win, but because you're playing against better people. But the more you start broadening who you're playing against, your competition, you start getting better, and you start realizing hey, I'm not the best, but you're playing against people that are better, and then you've got to go back to your home course, start working, practicing even more and more and more, and go back to another tournament, and you start doing better. And so it's kind of you're always in the lab, I guess so to say, trying
Yeah.
to get better. And whether it's trying to win your league or the local C tier, and then that there's always that hunger to try and win that, and then level up to a B tier, local B tier, bordering state. And luckily for me, and I've got myself and my career to a point where I'm getting to Vegas. I'm sure a lot of people would love to play Vegas, but that's probably just not in the cards for you, whether you don't have the opportunity financially, time wise, whether it's skill wise. There's a lot of things that can happen to where it doesn't allow you to play, but there's also a lot of things that you have control of that you can do to make it, like you said, a building block, and to eventually maybe play in Vegas next year, and getting your rating up to where you can sign up for Vegas and you feel like your game's good enough to get there. But you got to start off the local league in the local C tier and work your way up. But yeah, there's just no, just like anything, everybody always says, it sounds cliche, but there's no shortcut to success. I mean, everyone tries it, but it's never a long-term fix to take a shortcut.
Exactly. It's always taking that step forward and just knowing that one step at a time. I say, like, how do you get to the top of a mountain? You got to take one step at a time. It's the only way you're going to get there. Right. And so before we head into Q&A, we got some questions that were sent in from some Performance Academy members. We got some that posted here tonight to go back, because I love, we're talking about commitment. We're talking about consistency. We're talking about trust in the process. We're talking about all that. And it's like, people can go, wow, like there's a lot here. Like to play better, there's so many things I can do. To improve my health, there's so many things I can do. To improve my nutrition, there's so many things I can do. Yes, there are thousands of things that are out there. But to filter down and say, I'm going to do one thing, I'm going to do two things, I'm going to do three things, I'm going to focus on getting good at those. I'm going to filter out the other stuff right now, because maybe it could be great, but will it matter? Will it matter if I'm trying to do 50 things, or if I'm trying to do these things? Will that matter most? As we take it to the training, right? I've been a strength coach for over a decade now. I've done all this stuff. I know, like, people send me videos like, hey, have you ever heard of this exercise? Absolutely. I've heard of that exercise. Would I do it with Ricky or any of the other athletes? Probably not. Because I have a very fine filter of what I found. Like, this is what we need to focus on, right? Does weightlifting work? Does this work? Is CrossFit? Is there benefits to all that? Yes. But what do we need as a disc golf athlete? And that's what I've got to filter down. Because if I just threw everything at Ricky, and I was just like, there's 75 exercises for you to do every session, and they're super complex, and they're this and that, you wouldn't be able to move forward. Like, it would be just too overwhelming. You wouldn't find that success, right? And as my mentor, when I was with the Ducks, my mentor, he said, my strength coach, he said, hey, you're working with professional athletes, not professional exercises. Like, everything's got to count. You got to filter it down. I can't go, I never want someone to go, hey, why did you have Ricky do that exercise? And I'm never going to say, just because I felt like throwing it in there. Like, Ricky's got a lot, like, you got time to work out, but you got a lot of other stuff on your plate, right?
Yeah,
so everything's got to matter. Everything's got to be intentional. Everything's got to be purposeful. And there's a risk versus reward to stuff. Like, there's a lot of things we don't do because, sure, would it be great if you were a power lifter? Absolutely. But is it going to move you forward? No. So we have to filter out stuff. So, like, I get to this point because when people want to improve themselves in success, like, let's go to nutrition, right? We talk about nutrition. You're very passionate about nutrition. If someone just wants to improve their nutrition and then they're like, okay, I'm going to buy 30 books on nutrition and I'm going to try to read all of them, and I'm going to, have 75 different recipes that I got to try out this month. It's not going to be move you forward. Start little, start small, building blocks. What works? What do you got on that? Anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I totally do. Like, for nutrition is, obviously it's a passion of mine, but, I always tell people, processed foods that's the enemy for me. I always think of it that way, is because it's like, I could go into the list of stuff of why it's bad, but that's not the point. The point is it's bad, and I think everybody is in agreement that it's bad. It's just a lot of people enjoy the flavor, enjoy the taste, whatever it may be, and so they still eat them. But cutting out processed food, anything that's in a bag, and eating, just whole nutritious whole foods, whole plants, plants and vegetables, and nuts and seeds, and clean meats. That's that eliminates the problem is that it eliminates a lot of stuff in the grocery store that you can actually even buy. But like you said, buy lots of vegetables, buy lots of clean meats, and just make that 90% of your diet, and drink a gallon of water a day. Like you said, keep it simple. You can say, oh, I'm going to do this diet, I'm going to do that diet. Yeah, those are great, and they all have a purpose for certain things. But for majority of people, if you can just find those core foods that you eat, it allows you to, you don't have to try to lose weight. You're just eating natural, nutritious foods that aren't going to cause you to gain weight. If you're working out on top of it, it's just going to add to it. And I notice when I work out, I eat better because my body is craving that clean protein and that clean food. I notice that for sure. And so it's another motivation for me. The more I work out, the cleaner I eat, which I know is going to optimize my body better.
I love it. Focusing on those fundamentals. Be brilliant at the basics. Be strong at the basics at the fundamentals. So that's where you can do all the cool stuff when you want, because you know those fundamentals. You don't got to think about those fundamentals. I love it. All right, Ricky, let's get into some questions. I know you and I could talk for hours.
Yeah.
All right. So we got some questions that were sent in earlier. We'll hit a few of those, and then we'll try to get to as many as we can without going too incredibly long here. Thank you again for taking the time out of your day. All right. So one, Steven asked a WOOP goal or two that I have, whether it be disc golf related or not. Would be cool to see what kind of inner obstacles you guys have and how your plans overcome them. And also how much strength, stability, flexibility work goes into Ricky's daily or weekly regime during the tour season, and does it change in the off season? So I'll hit on a WOOP goal, and then we'll talk about So a WOOP goal, we're always working on. I'm always working on different goals. Right. Right now, a WOOP goal of mine is to get ready to get on the road, and so to minimize everything I have, because we're getting on the road in an RV in a very few short weeks with my wife and my two daughters, and we're going to be on the road full time with the Pro Tour. And so a WOOP goal of mine is getting into that RV. So the outcome is, man, it's going to be so great to be able to travel with my family and to know that everything's been taken care of by the time it gets me on the road. Obstacles, man, there's so much to do. Doing Disc Golf Strong, doing Disc Golf Pro Tour, I work in the medical committee, all these different things. But hey, we find the time to do it. The plan, we set out a plan. What are some of the inner obstacles? I ask you, what are some, if you're whatever you're open to sharing, Ricky, what are some inner obstacles that you may face as a athlete?
Yeah, I know, definitely. I think that there's for me, it's planning out my day in a certain way, like I was talking to Seth earlier, as I was doing my workouts in the mornings, and then I was noticing that my throwing wasn't nearly as on point as it normally is, just because I'm kind of sore and we've been doing a little bit more intense workout stuff. So that's kind of been, and it's something where I enjoy working out in the morning, kind of knocking it out, and then having the whole rest of the day to do stuff. But just like anything, you gotta move forward and figure out what works, what doesn't. And so now I'm going to kind of try to maybe knock out my round in the morning and then be fresh. And because obviously during the tournament season, I'm not working out full workout before my tournament round. So I want to do what I'm going to be doing during tournament. So that's definitely an obstacle. Is just balancing what I want to do, when I want to do it. I mean, things like that. That's, super important. And then there's, like funny thing is, I go back to diet again, but obstacles are like fighting the urge to eat those bad foods, because I know I'm a top professional athlete and I should be eating it in the first place. It doesn't do me any good, besides it has negative value for my body, and so that's another obstacle that gets thrown at me, because I know that one of my goals is to eat as clean as possible and avoid that stuff. And so
Mhm.
that's another, so there's everyone's obstacles are different, but yeah, those are just a couple of mine that I pretty much fight on a daily basis.
Yeah. Oh, that was good. And I'll someone just asked a question here since it's related to nutrition and I see it, I'll ask. Said, Ricky, do you eat rice for carbs or bread?
Um, I don't eat, obviously, I don't want to overwhelm you guys, but I don't really eat much wheat or corn. Um, we'll go into that a whole nother day as to why, but I like rice, to answer your question in short. I like rice. I think it's a cleaner version. I just enjoy it. I like rice cakes too. I'll have that's a snack of mine that I kind
Mm,
of like a rice cake with maybe like peanut butter and then put some fresh berries or something on top, banana or
nice.
something, and then I'll eat that as
Yeah.
like a late night snack and kind of, after a long day, reward myself with that. So that's kind of my little guilty pleasure. And it's really not
There you
even still
go.
that bad. Yeah.
No, not at all. Awesome. All right. The question here, finish up Steve's question. How much strength, stability, flexibility work goes into Ricky's daily or weekly regime during the tour season? Does it change in the off season? Yeah, in the off season, Ricky is doing a much more involved program focused around strength and power and stability. We got a lot more, higher intensity. We're progressive about it though. So Ricky's off season starts, with just readdressing the fundamentals, going back to the basics, doing a lot of more recovery kind of stuff. He just spent a long time on the road, and then it builds up and it builds up to where we're at now. Like he just said, we're getting into some more intense workouts, things like that. So it builds up over the time. And then when we get the in season, it's more recovery focused. There's some in season sessions that we have where to try to do some maintaining of some strength and stability and mobility and stuff. But a lot of it is also focused around recovery. So that's the difference between the in season and the off season. All right, Christopher says, do you ever recommend static stretching pre-round? I do your dynamic stretching pre-round warm-up, but there's certain muscles like my biceps and triceps and neck. I still feel like I need to do static stretches to prevent injury, but I hear static stretching is only for post-physical activity. Yeah, Christopher, we'll definitely dive more into this in the mobile disc golf athlete. So next week about, stretching, static stretching. I don't do static stretching with anybody unless they absolutely need it for a very specific reason. But then if they do, there's other things I do with it. It's not just a stretch that's strengthening the other side of the joint. There's a lot that there's more involved into it. We do pre-round dynamic warm-ups, dynamic stretching. All right, so we're moving through the full range of motion of the joint. We're keeping it active. We're not doing static stretching. The research has really shown static stretching can temporarily lower the ability to express power. It's kind of like putting the muscle not to sleep, so to say, but it's decreasing the neural activity of the muscle. It's like, okay, like relax, relax, relax. Okay, now be powerful, right? Be strong. Like it. That's not something we want to do. We don't want to do the static stretching. I don't really do it afterwards because then I'll talk about this next week. And is that they don't really find that static stretching does a lot that we thought it did, and so you'll jump more into it next week. But if you find that doing some sort of static stretch helps you, I'm not telling you to stop. Right? We had a guy Temu Solani at the Ducks, and he was doing like he would come in and we worked out after the game. And he would come in, and when I'd have two 45-pound plates on the bar, he'd come in, he'd get into the squat rack, and he would do like 45 quarter squats. And like that was his routine. That wasn't the routine that me and the strength coach would do, but he was Temu Solani. He's the Finnish Flash. We're not going to mess with what's working, right? He's a Hall of Famer. We're not going to mess with what's working for him, right? And so again, if you find that it is feeling good for you, don't stop it. But that's why we don't do the static stretching. All right, that's a little bit of why we don't do the static stretching. All right, Brian Nelson says, we'd love to hear about Ricky's pre-round routine for tournaments, perhaps starting with the night before. What do you eat? How much sleep? Morning routine? Any superstitions? Also, does he use any visualization in his routine? What do you got? Like a minute on that.
Okay.
I know there's a lot you could cover, but
yeah, there's a lot. So I'll start off and I do like before I leave the house to go to the tournament, I'll do like a breathing routine where I'll just sit there and almost meditate and think about what I want to do. I mean, sports psychology 101 is pound into your head what you want to do. If you say pink elephant, you're just going to think about pink elephant. But if you think about, hey, I want to think about how I'm going to lace this fairway, what shot I want to throw. So as opposed to thinking, hey, I don't want to hit this tree. Your brain can't decipher what it does or doesn't want to do. It just gravitates towards the last thought that's in its head. So I try to pound in what I want to do. Like I said, so I'm meditating, thinking about what I want to do, also breathing, de-stressing, and just getting myself in kind of game mode. So that's the biggest, most important thing. And then making, drinks, green tea, and the supplement drinks that optimize my brain and mental function for when I'm out there on the course. Those are just a couple things in a minute.
I love it. I love it. Okay, Michaela Ross says, how often is Ricky taking ice baths after winning, after every tournament, after field work, after practice round, after workout? What do you got with ice baths?
I do them a lot, actually. I mean, I would say probably like I said, my routine is, working out in the morning or in the afternoon, one of the two, and then playing around to disc golf. So after both of those, whether it's in the morning or afternoon, at night, I'll do an ice bath, and especially after a tournament, because if you're playing 3 or 4 days tournaments like we do, I want to, after a long round, go into ice bath, recover, chill for the night, and then feel like my body's fully recovered for the next day. And ice baths obviously speed that process up, and so there's no better way to do it than ice bath, and that's why I do it. So I'll do it after workouts and rounds, and after tournament rounds. It's a year-long thing that I do, just because and it also helps my mental clarity, and it's proven to de-stress your mind. It just takes it kind of like shocks your mind and kind of like resets your mind. So if you're having, like, whether it's depression or, I'm not a doctor or nothing, but if you had a bad round on the course, you get an ice bath, you kind of reset your mind, and that it works for me. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, I can't explain everything about it, but I can explain how it works for me, and how the stuff that I've read, and how it impacted me.
Yep, love it. Yeah, Ricky and I were on the phone the other day, and he's over on the West Coast right now, and we're talking. He's like, "Hey, how cold do you think the water is right now?" And so I was like looking it up. I'm like, "Oh, it's like 59 degrees right now." He's like, "Oh, it's perfect." And I was like, "That might be too warm for you, man." So
As the ice bath status yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when he was up in Monterey with me last year, we did a training session, and then boom, he's like in the water, in the Coast Guard, we say in the drink, jumping in, doing a little ice bath. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Asia Bennett says, does Ricky still do yoga? I've been doing yoga for years. Does he have any yoga videos or routines that he can suggest? Anything you want to share on that? And then I'll share my thoughts on yoga.
Yeah, so I have probably a very similar view on it as you do, Seth. I don't really do it too much. I think I love the meditation part of it. I love the mindset that you get into while doing it. But I get a lot of the value of stretching and that kind of part from all the stuff that we do pre-round. So yoga is great, and I've noticed, over the years when I used to do it a lot, it was very beneficial in lots of ways. But obviously talking to Seth and kind of bouncing knowledge back and forth, I kind of stopped doing it and just kind of stuck with our game plan.
Yeah. Awesome. So so great question, Asia. So my thoughts on yoga, I believe strongly in the positive benefits of yoga. For certain people, it works. For some, I don't use it. Like Ricky, we focus a lot on stability, and there are some moves in yoga that are definitely focused on stability. But what I tell people is, if they want to check out yoga or they want to incorporate yoga, I say go work with somebody individually that can, you can say, hey, I am an athlete. This is what I do. And then they focus on very specific moves for you, because there's some moves, but this is not just on a yoga thing. If it was, a powerlifting thing or an Olympic lifting thing or a CrossFit thing, I would say the same thing, is go and work with somebody that says, hey, this is what you need, and this is the part of it that you don't. And so I don't want him to, get too loose. Like Ricky's got really good mobility, and so we don't want to get any more mobility. But it sounds like it's been something that's working well for you. So keep doing it if that is making a positive impact in your game. All right. One more question that was asked previously, and then we'll just hit a few of these. If I don't get to all of them, I apologize, but we will get through a couple of them for sure. Russell Johnston said, I'm hoping to make this tonight, but I may have to catch the replay. Okay. If you have 30 minutes a day to dedicate to disc golf prep / training, so say 15-minute disc golf specific mobility work, 15-minute disc golf skills, what would you recommend to focus on? Yeah, so I'll start with the disc golf prep, the mobility work. Yeah, take 15 minutes and take 3 to 5 exercises focusing on mobility of your upper back, mobility of your hips. If you look at the exercises that you're going to be working on, not only in this assessment, but next week, doing some upper back rotations, doing the shin boxes, things like that, doing a little core work, doing some dead bugs, right? And then just do like a little single leg deadlift work, a little single leg deadlift, a little single leg hip airplane. That's good for work. Now, one of Ricky's favorite exercises, you're all doing it right now as part of the assessment, which is the half kneeling front leg liftoff, which Ricky absolutely loves. Right, Ricky? Don't you love that exercise?
Oh man, I loved that exercise for so long that I actually got good at it. Oh my gosh. It just goes back to the thing, like, yeah, I was told Seth, I'm like, I'm so bad at this. It's so like it's embarrassing, like me doing it in front of Seth, like, oh, I just like get so wobbly. Now it's like I did it like out after like I don't know, like 10 or 15 sessions in a row. After I would do the whole workout for the day, and then I would go straight back to that because I was so bad at it that I'm like, all right, I got to get this down. And now my range of motion is so much better. I can literally just do that, move my leg, and then move back, and I'm not like going crazy all over the place. So I was just the type of person I am. I'm competitive. I want to get good at this, like it was kind of like a test for me. And so after every session, it was a slow build up to where I'm at now, to where I'm actually good at it now. I started off wobbly and super unstable, and did it enough to where I enjoy doing it because I'm good at it now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember Ricky would call me and be like, dude, I am crushing. I'm loving all the exercises. But man, that half kneeling front leg lift off is killing me. I'm like, yeah, man, you just gotta keep putting in those reps, get that stability in that hip. No, there's people here. John is saying that front leg lift off is so hard. Had trouble with it today. Steven says, LOL, I feel that right now. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Dude, so go ahead.
No, I'm just saying you could get these like super behemoth looking people and like just get them to do that, and they'll be like, holy crap, I can't do it. Like, if you want to challenge someone, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, build that stability in that hip. Awesome. 15 minutes. They got 15 minutes to focus on disc golf prep, on the throwing, on that kind of side. Anything that you recommend?
Yeah, I would say go to the field and work on, set up a basket, do 5 minutes of putting, do some upshot work, and then you use your last 10 minutes on upshots and drives. Just 5, 5, and 5, I think is important. 5 minutes putting, 5 minutes throwing upshots from 200 feet, and then 5 minutes go to 350, 400 feet, however far you want to, and try to have a little challenge with yourself to see how many you can get close to the basket. And if you're doing something wrong, change your form up a little bit, and just do a session every day.
Yep, I love it. All right, so let me just hit a couple of these. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in tonight. All right, someone here says, how to handle inconsistency in results even on the same day. First place after first round, maybe 970 rated round, down maybe 860 the second round. Does not have to be in that order. How would you approach this issue? So he's got a first round, he's maybe 970 rated, but that second round, he's playing at 860. Any thoughts on that? How would you approach this issue?
Yeah, I think that it's all about tournament results are so people get so caught up in that, which is it's good. It's some people are result oriented, and I am result oriented to a certain extent, but I go to the field and I do reps to where I feel good personally. My shots are coming out and I'm making changes to my swing. I'm not just going out there and just throwing. I'm making changes. You're doing this. I'm rotating my hips through. Working on my reach back, all the different things that go into a disc golf motion. I'm tweaking that and I'm changing that to where I can get consistency in my swing and in my throw. So I know that if my swing feels consistent and good, the results will come. But so many people get caught up in results to where, hey, I shot 10 under and I shot even. Well, it's like, yeah, maybe that 10 under was like false advertisement. You may not have hit your lines. Your swing still wasn't feeling that great, but you scored well. But you kind of like tricked yourself into thinking like your swing was really good and you shot really good. And so sometimes you have to separate the result from how your game and how your swing is feeling. And it's hard to do that when you're playing good. It's really easy to do it when you're playing bad. So I think the best, in a weird way, it's you have to even be able to critique yourself even when you're playing good. Say, how can I get better, and more consistent? And so don't get content with that good round. If you had a solid round, try to get better even after that solid round you had. You could 9 times you can almost always improve no matter what. So try to reflect on the results and how you're getting that score, and then make changes from there.
Love it. All right, let's see what else. Oh, Betsy's coming in from Singapore. Welcome, Betsy, from Singapore.
Nice.
We got Klaus is coming in from Munster, Germany at 2 a.m. That's awesome.
Great. Thanks for joining, dude.
Yeah. All right, let's see. A couple more in here. Am I the only one who couldn't do the commando rock position? Yeah, that really challenges Chris on that upper back mobility to extend that upper back. So keep working on that. Do a bunch of breath work while you're moving in and out of that position. Let's see. What's the difference between a wish and an outcome? So a wish is something that I want, and an outcome is like what will happen if that wish is realized, right? So a wish is I want to improve my sleep. I want to be able to have good sleep hygiene and sleep throughout the night. What's the outcome of me doing that? I'm going to have more energy throughout the day. I'm going to have more ability to have focus and clarity in what I want to do. Maybe my nutrition is going to be better because I'm not so tired and down and feeling like, oh, I just don't have good energy because I didn't sleep well at night. So there's the wish. And then there's the outcome of what's going to happen when you work towards and that wish is realized. All right. Let's see. Moon assessment showed me it was really tight, had a lot of trouble with a lot of the exercises. Yeah, definitely. You'll find that. All right. There was some down in here. People saying congrats on your success, Ricky.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Let's see.
Start at the bottom and scroll up.
Okay. Tiffany told me to start at the bottom and scroll up. All right.
Sorry from the bottom, now you're here.
Yeah. Previous low back injuries prevent some twisting. Any suggestions? Yeah, focus. Chris, just what you're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, building up the mobility in the hips and the upper back and building up the core engagement and the glutes, getting those glutes fired. All those are really important for the lower back. A lot of times we find that, a lower back, when you're feeling tightness and issues in the lower back, while there can definitely be some, there's potential for like some disc stuff going on. A lot of times if the muscles are tightening up, it's because they're overworking. They're trying to do the job for things that are not strong enough or not engaging, albeit like the core or the glutes, things like that. All right. So just work through the program, Chris, of what we're going to be doing the next couple of weeks. Stay consistent with that. And I think you might be able to see some progress in there. In the vein of injury prevention, is it best to rotate on the heel or toe of your plant foot right after you release the disc and during the follow through? I see pros do both. You want to speak to how what you do, Ricky, and then how that feels for you?
Yeah, I prefer to be rotate on my toe, but I think the most important thing is making sure you get that rotation. That's important for your follow through. It's important for your power to kind of come through and rotate and just let your body flow naturally. Just making sure you're not stopping your rotation and cutting off your follow through. That's the most important part, more so than, hey, am I landing on my heel or my toe? I'm just more thinking, hey, I'm gonna, have clean, footwork, land flat with my feet, and for me, it's always been a natural, like I guess, on my toe, and I feel like that just kind of allows me to flow naturally through the swing and get my rotation. So I think it's more make sure you're rotating your hips through the shot and rotating your bottom leg, if you're right-handed, your right foot, left-handed, your left foot, and rotating through. That's the most important thing.
Perfect. I would agree with that. Yeah. Find what's working for you, get that rotation, and train your body so that you can handle those stresses. Is there an opinion on Tai Chi? I think it's no down side. I don't think to doing those movements. It's a good practice. So if that's something that works for you or something you're interested in. Now, would I say that like if it was Tai Chi versus what you're going to be doing in the academy for disc golf, I would say disc golf strong stuff for disc golf. But will there be benefits from doing Tai Chi that translate over disc golf? Absolutely. The ability to stay in the moment and present and fluid. I mean, there's a lot. Absolutely. There's nothing bad to say about that. But I would say make sure you're incorporating the other stuff as well. All right. Someone said you're so excited for your continued success this year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see. How should I analyze inconsistency in performance tournaments? Oh, that was okay. I think he just I can't see who it was that asked that, but I think they asked the same. That was the question you already asked, going from 970 to 860 during the same day. Yeah, that looks like the same. All right. Question from John. Question for Ricky. When you started Disc Golf Strong, were there particular exercises that were harder for you? And were there specific outcomes that you noticed as you got into it?
Yeah. So obviously we talked about the what was that one called again?
Front leg, half kneeling front leg liftoff.
Yeah, front leg liftoff. That was probably the most challenging thing I'd done. I mean, we'd done all this core work, the planks with band rows. I don't know. You guys will probably get into that later on. But we're doing all these complex workouts, and that was the most challenging. It was the most basic concept it seemed like out of all. It's lift your leg up, but you're sitting in a certain position where it just challenged you so much, and so I learned a lot about my body. I mean, that's super important too. Is you learn immediately what you need to work on, what you're good at, And I've always been. I felt like my core has been my strong suit. That's something I've just always had a strong core, and I think that obviously helps with disc golf. But yeah, there's lots of workouts that I had trouble with. I mean, let's see. I'm trying to think, working my way through the program. Yeah, like squat, like getting a form for squats, right? The right
deadlifts,
form.
Squats and deadlifts,
yeah. Just getting the hip hinge. That was tough for me at first. I know I worked with Seth a lot on that, and I think I've kind of gotten it. The more I've sent him videos back and forth, watched as much as I could, and learned. Now I feel like my form for that's a lot better. There's everyone's different. Some people, struggle with core, and some people are good with deadlift or squats, and so that's everyone's different. But I think that's the beauty of it, is you find your weak points and you get to work at them, and I think it's a fun challenge for me. I enjoy it. I think it it highlights your weaknesses, just like in disc golf. You know what your weaknesses are, what you need to work on, but you still have to work on your what you're good at. But you have to dedicate time to what your weaknesses are to develop them into something that may be a strong suit down the road.
Absolutely. And you all will be doing those hip hinges, those deadlifts starting next week. And, it's really like, I find like most people we find working those patterns of the deadlift and the hip hinge just takes time, but you've committed yourself to it, and you definitely have made huge gains in that. Klaus checking in from Germany says it's worth it staying up for it at 2 a.m. Thank you, Klaus. Appreciate that. John says, how time do you spend on utility shots like thumbers and tomahawks?
Not very much. To answer your question, like Seth always says, if I'm playing, 20, 25 tournaments a year, I'm going to maybe throw a tomahawk or some crazy, shot like that, maybe once or twice. So, I want to perfect what I'm going to be using 99.9% of the time. And it's great to have that. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't see myself needing that shot enough to where I need to spend an hour a day for, weeks or months on end. It's, it's good to practice, good to learn it, good to have it in your back pocket when you need it. But it's not something to where it's, the meat of being a professional disc golfer is, throwing good backhands, angle control, all that stuff, not throwing a chicken wing behind your back, but you may need that 1 out of a million shots or whatever, but it's just not something and I'm not saying, thumbers are different, there's a time and a place for it. But yeah, I don't really focus too much on that.
Okay, good. Well, so as I'm listening to you, I'm looking at this comment, and I saw this comment, and I was like, okay, should I ask this next? And you said two things in your answer. You said the meat of it, and you said chicken wings. The chicken wing, and the question is literally chicken or steak, and I'm like, okay, and it was like perfectly setting up for this
That's
for this
funny.
question. You said meat of it and chicken wings, so I was like, okay,
That's funny.
chicken or steak. We'll go with that.
I love a good steak. I love a rib eyes. And my go-to meal is like when I'm on the road is just a nice steak with some, some vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower mix, and saute that and put some salt and pepper. And now you got a clean meal that fills you up and it's got some good protein and it's super clean.
Awesome. Okay, Tony had asked, how do you stay focused and not tilt after a bad shot? Usually I lose focus after I make a big mistake and start losing. So focus, is it something that you specifically work on or something that you just build with experience?
So it comes with definitely experience, but it also comes with practice. I mean, you got to realize that, and so it always sounds cliche, like, yeah, everything's not going to go your way, but you have to practice enough to where you can overcome a bad shot. If you don't put in the work, then that bad shot, yeah, it's going to be bad because you're not really good enough to make up for it. But if you put in the practice behind the scenes with the field work and all this stuff, you won't get as tilted because you genuinely have put in the practice to know that you can make up and come back from that. But if you deep down, make a bogey and think your tournament's over, yeah, that's probably because it might be because you just didn't put enough practice in and you can't make up for that. Luckily, I'm in a level to where I've practiced enough, and a lot of you guys can get to a similar level to where you're good enough. You put the practice into where you can bounce back and make up for that. And that's, like I said, that's not something that you can, it's hard to deal with in the moment, but you have to put in the time to practice and get your form to where you want it to where once that happens, you can move forward and, make a birdie on the next hole to make up for it. And then you're back rolling in the round. And so that's the biggest difference between someone like me and maybe somebody that maybe takes a bogey and thinks their whole tournament's over.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to, like you said, putting in that work, that time, that's how you build that confidence, and that focus and being able to know that, hey, something goes not the direction I want it to go. This is not the end. I can pull back from it. I remember watching a interview with Alex Honnold, the guy that did the, climbed, what's the wall he climbed? I can't think of the wall right now. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes. The documentary about him.
Not Half Dome, but the other one. Yeah. So so what he was talking about in this interview I saw, Al Capitan, thank you.
Yes.
So what he was talking about is they were asking him, like, does he ever get afraid, like fear falling, like fear death and stuff? And he's like every single, like, I practice, I know my hand holds, I know everything. And when I practice, everything I do, I think about falling, and I actually visualize, like, what would happen if my hand slipped and I fell and this and that. And he goes, I think, oh, I'd fall to my death. I'd fall, I'd probably hit that rock, whatever. And he go, why would you think of that? He goes, because I want to, like, get all that stuff out of my head right now, just so that I can focus on practice and know that, like, that is like my routine where I need to be. So if something happens and I start to slip, I'm not now having to process, like, oh my gosh, my life's over. It goes, I can focus on what I need to do. Now take that to disc golf. We're not going to die if we hit a tree, but we start thinking about, like, oh my, the worst is going to happen now, this and that, everything's over, and then so we start struggling. Like, he wanted to think about, hey, what is the worst that could happen? So if my fingers starts to slip, bam, I can lock back in. And so, just to like you said, put in that work, and that's what helps build that focus. Okay.
I'll do one more question. Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Ricky mentioned his timing is off. What are your steps to fix the timing issue? Do you guys recommend any weightlifting, like hitting the bench? And also, do you take any supplements before bed? Anything else you got? Anything you want to answer in that?
Yeah. So the timing is, I mean, that's something to where your body creates better timing the more you play. And so right now I'm in a spot where I didn't play a ton. So I need to kind of create that timing and that muscle memory with my body. And so it's just, for me, I'm working on something right now where I'm rotating my hips, like just a little bit before my arm swing comes forward. Because what I was doing earlier is my arm was coming through the shot before my hips were kind of rotating through. So just kind of messing and playing trial and error. That's super important. If you do something with your hips, do something with your reach back, something with your run up and the way you're aiming your run up, all these different variables, mess with it. Obviously, yeah, some things aren't going to work, but once you feel something that works, you're going to be able to kind of re-implement that and say, oh, that felt good. Let me try to do that again and try to kind of recreate that and basically create that positive muscle memory. And so for me, it's like I said, it's all about muscle memory and finding that stuff, those key points that you can find that really help you in your swing.
Yeah, dude, Ricky, we were talking today. I said, oh, it would be like 30 minutes, not like as long as the last time we did.
Good.
But you have such like golden nuggets to share, and dude, it's hard to keep it so short because talking to you, you're a champ. You've got so much passion and drive, and it's obviously shows in where you're at right now and where you continue to rise. So thank you so much, my friend, for being here, taking the time out to spend time with me, the rest of the Performance Academy crew, and wish you obviously nothing but success this season. We'll see each other here very soon. I know we'll be talking and working together before that. But hey, everyone, just throw it on the board. Thank Ricky for his time because it was a true honor to spend this with you. All right, my friend.
Appreciate
have a great
it,
rest
guys.
of your evening. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. See you. Bye. All right. Hey, you know what? Like that was gold. That was fantastic. Anytime we can spend time with, Ricky, that's something we definitely want to do. So I hope you all enjoyed that. Get into that training this week. Go through those exercises, those WOOP exercises. Go through that movement assessment if you haven't yet. Start watching some of the coaching videos. There's a lot that you can access. If you can get down to just a little bit and say, hey, I can't do it all, but I can do a little bit right now, just focus on what you can do in the moment. All right. We'll end it there. Have a great rest of your evening, everyone. Coaching rooms, the Zoom coaching rooms are tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you go to timeanddate.com, you can put that in there. There's a little thing. You can put it in and then put your time zone. It'll tell you what it is for you. All right, everyone. That's it for us this evening. We'll do another Performance Academy Live next Tuesday. Have a great night. Train disc golf strong so you can keep playing disc golf strong. Take care.